So WarThunder is bringing in patch 1.91, which is something great, and I was watching their live stream. They did a live stream from the dev server showcasing the new nation, Chinese nation, their vehicles, the new mechanics, the thermal imaging, and the night vision. And what stood out the most for me is the addition of the two new jets, which are the MiG-21 and the F4C Phantom 2. Now, the addition of the F4 and the MiG-21 is good because it's going to help at least fight the current beast that we call the Mitsubishi T2, which is honestly ridiculously overpowered at the moment at 10.0. So I think that the new jets will solve that issue and at least we'll get Axis versus Axis and Allies versus Allies thingy removed, because I hate it, to be honest. When I want to play jets, or I want to play planes, or I want to play any vehicle, I don't want to see another plane, the same plane. For example, I'm flying an F2, a Sabre F2. I don't want to see that Sabre F2 against me. I want like different nations coming against me. You get the point. Now, the thing with WarThunder RRB problems, man, RRB is stale at the moment. It has a shit ton of problems. The D2, like I said, is gone. It's not going to be OP anymore, hopefully. Mixed battles will go with that too. I mean, thank God I don't like mixed battles. Now, the problem is now bombers in RRB. Bombers are generally useless. They get shot down really easily, that they're not easy to take out. There is a couple of bombers in the game that can hold against a lot of planes, such as the Tu-4 and the B-29. Those are really good bombers with really good defenses, but the rest of the bombers are just eaten alive. And WarThunder seriously need to do something about that, because in RRB it's completely useless to fly bombers, and especially when you're flying the Allies, you're going to have multiple bombers on your team, which leaves you with so little fighter aircrafts. So losing a game is a high possibility that you're going to lose a game. Now, speaking about the Allies, there are a lot of new players coming into the game with the new grinding system and the reduced RP, which is a good thing, don't get me wrong, because WarThunder has a shit ton of vehicles that they need grinding through, but the players themselves, they lack a lot of experience, and I often see like P-47s, P-51s, American Boom and Zoomers to be exact. Term fighting, not climbing, flying low, doing things that they're not supposed to do. And when you say, "Hey, you need to climb in that plane specifically," they say, "Oh, climbing is boring. Climbing is this. Climbing is that. I want to rush to the battlefield, get a couple of kills, maybe a head-on." But eventually, they do not do that, and they get ended off by a BF-110 or an ME-410. Which is a shame. It is a shame. I don't know how these new players think. I mean, WarThunder takes a lot of skills, but something needs to be done about that, because playing the Allies, it's a pain at the moment. Now, when WarThunder implemented the new radar system. The new radar system is, I thought it would be great in patch 1.85. The radar was OP. Radars were not supposed to work like that. And they tried to fix it, but they done it terribly. Now the radars are basically useless. There is a lot of disturbance coming up from the ground. You cannot spot planes, you cannot do anything with the radar. Even when you try to lock on to someone with the radar, it's basically useless. It's jerking all over, especially in Sim, because lately I've been playing a lot of Sim, and radar is a good thing in Sim. It helps you see a lot of your enemies, but what good is it if you're flying like 1,000, 2,000 meters, or maybe even 3,000 meters, and no one is there, or you don't see them? Because as WarThunder stated, it's a feature, it's not a bug, and you need to be like 4K, 5K plus to see those enemies with your radar and have that less disturbance from the ground. But to be honest, in simulator battles, that's not an option. Most fights happen at low altitude, and yeah, it's virtually useless. Plus, in RB2, it's also virtually useless because most planes are on the ground, except if you want to hunt bombers, will be climbing up. And now bombers don't climb up; they just rush, get their bombs, go back to base, and not get shot at. But yeah, the radar is not working at all. Another thing with RB that is bugging the living shit out of me, which is the anti-air located inside of the map. I'm not talking about the anti-air in the airfield, on the airfield itself, but on the map itself. Because I had a lot of flights, let's say, in multiple nations, and the anti-air is terrible. It's way overpowered on ground. On airfields, on bases, I can understand that, but like anti-air on the ground, that's extremely hurtful. I've been flying attackers. They get destroyed by that anti-air. Sometimes I get lit on fire and not make it just from a pass, like passing in an anti-air, not taking care of it, not killing it or something like that, and it burns my plane. Other than that, I had multiple flights in the Japanese planes, and I shit you not when I say that one anti-air clipped my wing off, like completely off, which is a bummer. Seriously, planes are not that cheap to repair. They're not cheap, man. Everybody knows that. Moving on to cheap planes, well, cheap repair costs. I see that premium vehicles, especially overpowered, a bit overpowered, not that overpowered, premiums, like the JU-288, like the DO 335B, P-47M, etc., etc. They don't have that insane they don't have that insane cost of repair, which is something terrible. Because when you compare it, for example, let's take a Ta-152, one of my favorite planes, extremely good plane, requires a lot of focus, a lot of skill, and it's basically near 40,000 civilians to repair. That's not a repair cost, that's a bankrupt in just 10 flights. Now, planes like that, planes like the B-29, I just keep them, take them out for a spin once a week, and I just cross my fingers that I don't get shot down, because it's painful to repair those planes, especially when you're the last guy left on your team, and it's hurtful, man. WarThunder needs to remove this policy by finding something that is overpowered and making the repair cost of it extremely high. It's extremely frustrating to get like that high repair cost. Moving on to high tier. High tier is at the moment, high tier planes are extremely compressed. I don't know where to start. I mean, look at the American tree, look at the Russian tree as an example. These two are extremely compressed, and WarThunder tried to do something about it, which is making a special VR, which is 8.7, and it really helped out the MiG, because the MiG was useless at 9.0. The MiG-15 and the MiG-15 bis those were completely useless because they could not catch up to supersonics. They could not catch up to even American planes like the Sabres. MiGs are basically, they require a lot of focus and they require a lot of skill, and they cannot surpass high speeds like 1,100 kilometers per hour. That's completely out of the question for the MiG. But yeah, 8.7 is something good, but they still need to decompress the jets for multiple nations. The Orange Doom talked about this, and he made I think a thread about this. He did make a thread about this, but I think it was like 5 years ago. They need to listen to him. That guy is right. Seriously, that guy is right. Now, moving on from air RB to ground RB. I'm not an expert in ground RB. I'm basically a pilot, and those issues that I stated were just skimmings, let's say. They're just the obvious problems that WarThunder has at the moment. I mean, the whole air RB thing itself needs to be reworked completely, ground up from the zero up. But yeah, you get my point. Now moving on to ground RB, and the ground RB is much more worse. The problems that I faced in ground RB, personally, I don't know about you guys because I'm not, like I said, I'm not that expert in ground forces, but 6.7 Germany is suffering like crazy. 6.7 Germany, I don't know, man. It gets a lot of up tiers. When it's at its BR, it's okay. If you get a down tier, that's even greater. But they constantly get up tiered, and Tiger 2, for example, cannot withstand heat shells. Like anything with a heat shell can penetrate your frontal plate, and you're completely screwed. And yeah, you're going to face a lot of those Doom cannons, the FV4005, I think. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's a pain. WarThunder seriously needs to find a solution for 6.7 Germany, because seriously, it's getting its ass kicked. Moving on to close air support. This is my main thing in ground RB. Close air support is virtually impossible. Seriously, at lower tiers, it's okay. At high tiers, it's not. The addition of the new anti-air systems with the radar and the ground-to-air missiles, the Tungushkas, the ADATs, hell, even the Gepard with its radar, even though it doesn't have air-to-air missiles, it's painful. And you cannot even see the tanks when you're walking into the range of combat, when you're going over the battlefield. I tried to stay above 1,000 meters, but still, with radar they can get me. They removed the screen, the tracking camera of the not the TOW missiles, but the AGM missiles, I think, that you can find on the F-100, the air-to-ground missiles. They removed the camera for that, and now it's completely frustrating to even get a kill at longer ranges with airplanes. WarThunder needs to fix that. I honestly enjoy taking like a plane with HVR rockets or Tiny Tims and just going at it, but that requires the plane to be extremely close to the battlefield. That requires the plane to be extremely close to anti-air systems, and the plane just gets disintegrated easily. WarThunder needs to fix that. I mean, it is frustrating, especially for you guys that play high tier tanks a lot and like to be in a close air support role, but yeah, that thing is disastrous. Another issue with the ground RB at high tier is those anti-airs that can fuck up planes really bad. The close air support planes, they need to have their spawn point cost like increased. 90 spawn points for ADATs, the best anti-air in game. That's way too low. I mean, look at the plane. In a plane, you need at least 600 to 900 spawn points to bring a plane, and you get blown up immediately, which is something extremely vital. WarThunder needs to do about it, and something about it. It's not fair. They need to reprogram or redo the whole spawn point cost for high tier planes and high tier anti-air at lower BRs. It's okay. It's okay to have that low spawn point cost because you don't have that much of armament, you don't have that much of survivability. So, but in high tier anti-air, you have everything. You can kill tanks, you can kill planes, you can kill basically everything. So they need to rework the whole spawn point system for planes in ground RB and for anti-air in ground RB, because it's completely frustrating. And yeah, so these were like one of the main issues that I'm facing in WarThunder. I just wanted to get it out there. If you want to say something, even though I don't have a lot of subscribers, but if you come across this video now before 1.91 or after 1.91, it's okay. You can leave your thoughts in the comments. I can try to make videos about that. I can try to get our voices out to Gaijins in the form of these simple videos. Anyway, thank you for taking the time and watching the video. Subscribe if you want to. Like, share, comment, tell your friends. And yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next one.